My name is Jimmy, but I go by the name of Q-Wall. That's my street name. You know, I'm from that Hoof gang.
Jackie Resnick. I grew up in the Valley. I grew up in Tarzana, California, but I live here. I live around here. I live in Culver City.
My name is Tyree Perkins, and I'm from South Los Angeles, California.
Tina. Do you need my last name?
Yes, please.
McCoy.
And where are you from?
I was born here in the U.S., but I grew up in Europe.
South LA, also known as South Central, wasn't called South Central LA until the Rodney King, court trial and the LA riots. Traditionally, it was called South LA, and South LA is considered anything that's south of Wilshire or east of La Brea, right? So that's South LA. The media coined the frame South Central LA to make it sound more demilitarized, to make it sound more violent. And at the time, yeah, it was. You know, my mom moved us out to the suburbs in 91, to escape the violence. And when we moved back, it was still going.
Have you ever been to South Central Los Angeles?
I have not.
My origin was Central America, but I grew up in South Central LA all my life.
Have you ever been to South Central Los Angeles?
I've been a couple of times, and I'll be honest, it was mostly like when I was a kid, like we would do like field trips. So because I grew up here, it was like for something or other, like I don't know, like I feel like for econ we took AP economics or something, we took a field trip, but never like let's go.
Yeah.
Well, I've been in the U.S. for 30 years, and I've always been told not to go down to South Central Compton area because I will not come out. So I've never been.
Actually, I feel like growing up here, you're taught like, oh, South Central is a dangerous part of LA. Like you can't go there. You can't, like that's not a place that we go. Especially like as a kid, and then you kind of just discount it in your mind because like. When you're hearing that from all the adults around you, like why, if an adult tells you that something's unsafe, like why would you agree with it? So I would say like especially socializing kids who are from different parts of Los Angeles, maybe whiter parts of Los Angeles, more affluent parts of Los Angeles maybe, to be like, oh, that's a bad place for like X, Y, and Z reason that they want to make up. Like that I would say is rampant in this city.
My neighborhood is primarily a mix of black and brown people, so black and Latino people, and has been historically for the past 30 or so years. I think we get known for all of the wrong things. I think we're very, very infamously known for, our gang culture, among other things, the LA riots, things like that. But I think for the most part, it's just been a community to me. It's been everything that everybody else grows up with: Boy Scouts and Little League and soccer leagues and stuff like that. So it's home to me.
Like I feel like from what people want us to believe, from the way people describe South Central, it's like, oh, the schools are terrible, the kids are poor, like all that kind of stuff is like what we're hearing. Again, it's like I feel like I'm not educated enough to be like, oh yeah, all the kids are gonna, grow up and go to college and like all that kind of stuff, but like obviously like what we hear in like a caricature of a part of town is like very different than like actual personal experiences of like, because obviously when you think of a group, they're like individuals obviously that make up a group, and like all those individuals are having their own experiences. So like if you wanted to say like, oh, like that kid's having a tough time, they're gonna be like a kid who's having a tough time in every group. So like, and also high school is the worst. But yeah, I feel like it would be ridiculous to be able to make a claim that like, oh, kids don't have what they need. You know what I mean?
No, I would say absolutely not. I think South Central, I don't think they have what they need. And that's probably one of the problems. They need government help over there.
Communities are policed by men and women who never lived in our communities. And all they saw about South Central LA and the cities of like Inglewood and Compton and Watts is violence, and the media perpetuated that. So, you know, coming up, they felt like, okay, well, you know, when they became police, they're gonna the only people that are in these communities are people that you see on the news, are violent criminals, are gangbangers, and that's not the truth. But they treat everyone in the neighborhood with like this blanket treatment, and so I think it affects you in that way. It also affects our education when educators come in and they're not used to the community, they don't know about the community, and they're asked to teach the kids of the community. And there's and there's a break in the what should I say? There's a communication failure because they can't relate to the kids. So it happens there too, and also in corporate America. When corporate America is like, hey, why put a Trader Joe's over there or a Home Goods? Those people don't want to eat healthy. Those people don't interior decorate their homes. Well, we do, and it affects us in that way. It affects you psychologically growing up, that you see a bunch of, you know, boarded up businesses and you don't see the nice businesses you see in the other parts of the city.
We need to start with our community. You know, our community is built with, you know, sure they call us the ghetto, you know, and mindful, they treat it like the ghetto too, with all these liquor stores and all these smoke shops, you know, and then they legalize marijuana, you know, so all this we hear, all this our youth, you know, all this temptation, it's out there that we need to do away with. You know what I'm saying? Our assemblywomen, we need to stop all these liquor stores building, all these smoke shops putting up, you know what I'm saying? Because it's too much of a, it's too, how would I say, it's too tempting. You know, it doesn't give the youth much of a choice.
What I've understood, it's like the structures in society, and you can also tell me if I'm wrong because it's been a minute, but like, you know, like especially stuff that's paid for like by the state, so like school and like even not, so like colleges and like people's jobs, it's like there's barriers to entry for like different races, and you know, like what, like, you know, there's like, tell me if this isn't applicable, but isn't there like that study where it's like the same resume and they like change the guy's name so it sounds white or it sounds black, like those kinds of things, and then it's like, oh, like we're gonna hire the white guy, you know what I mean? So like those types of things where it's like, even if people aren't being like, oh, I'm racist and we're only hiring white people, it's like people already have that ingrained that like is gonna make workplaces obviously incredibly unequal.
Structural racism. Honestly, I never really paid attention. Of like South Central, I would have assumed that they built housing around freeways and the metro, even though metro's new, but rather than building freeways around the other properties, just because land is probably cheaper by the freeways and things. So that's what I feel.
An ecosystem built for failure, right? So if you don't have outlets for kids who are underprivileged, then they turn the life of crime or violence. So structural racism to me is not providing the same opportunities that you provide other cultures and other races to these black and brown kids. So they have less of a chance to change the cycle of like the economic struggle that, you know, their parents have gone through.
I've been to other part of LA, you know, and I've seen the difference. You know, I've been to certain counties, and I'm looking around and I'm like, damn, is this California? Am I still in California? But yes, I am in California. But the thing about it is that I couldn't see no gateways, no fences, no liquor stores, you know, no smoke shops, none of that. You know, it wasn't in their neighborhood. Their neighborhood was built upon just homes, neighborhood watch, and, you know, people walking their little dogs and just living life according to how you're supposed to live life.
It's easy to point out the disparities, between the communities. You go to Redondo Beach or Manhattan Beach, and they carry, top-notch craft beer in their freezers. And you come to South Central Los Angeles, and they carry really cheap malt liquors that they don't carry anywhere else, or they have, the horrible cheap cigarettes that they sell over here. And the food choices are horrible. I come home, I work on the west side in Marina Del Rey, and I have all the food choices in the world I want over there. But when I come over here, all I have is fried foods. I belong to LA Fitness Gym. I have to drive outside of my community to go to the gym because corporate America doesn't think that we work out or that we're health conscious. You know what I mean? So it affects you on all different levels, and after a while, it's ingrained into your psyche, and you start to feel less than. And so that's why you see kids lash out and rebel and almost embody that monster that America portrays them to be, because they feel a sense of hopelessness.